I don't know.
Welcome to this Planning Commission. The date is Monday, September 23rd. Will everyone please rise for Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. First item of tonight's agenda is the actual approval for the agenda. Does anyone have any comments or need to make any changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
A motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item is the approval for the minutes for the September 9th, 2013 meeting. Did anyone need to make any changes to those notes?
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the September 9th, 2013 meeting minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or any abstentions?
Abstention.
Okay. And I am one as well, Julie. Okay, moving on to public hearings. The first item for tonight for a public hearing is the subject is St. Andrew Haven. The location is 13618 St. Andrew Drive. The request is a planned unit development concept review on 1.716 acres, a planned unit development district review with waivers on 1.716 acres, a zoning district change from R1-22 to R1-13.5 on 1.716 acres, and a preliminary plat of 1.76 acres into 4 lots and an outlot. With that being said, will the proponent of the project please come forward? State your name, spell your last name for city record along with your address, and tell us a little bit about your project, please.
Mr. Commissioner, Planning Commission members, my name is Matt Pavick with Civil Site Group. I am a civil engineer working on the project, along with Peter Knabely with Terra Engineering.
Matt, can you please spell your last name for us?
My last name is Pavick, P-A-V-E-K. Do you need my address also?
Yes, please.
Okay, 510 Cloverleaf Drive, Golden Valley, Minnesota.
Thank you.
Like I was saying, I'm an engineer working on the project with Peter Knabely with Terra Engineering, who's actually out of town, wasn't able to make it to this meeting. So I'm going to try to answer the questions. He is the design engineer on the project, but like I said, I'm familiar with it, so I should be able to answer some questions with regard to it. The developer of the project is Brandel Anderson Homes, and Dave Anderson is here for questions regarding the home construction and anything of that nature if you have those types of questions. But generally, the project is summarized perfectly in the staff report, 1.716 acres into a 4-lot subdivision with an outlot. All the lot sizes meet or exceed the lot size requirements. Tree replacement will be done in accordance with city requirements. Streets and utilities will be extended off the existing Vervoot Lane stub street with a cul-de-sac for the 4 homes to front. Proposing a small infiltration basin for stormwater quality. And generally we concur with all of staff's recommendations. I've been working on it for a number of weeks here now, and we understand what staff is looking for, and we're able to do what they ask on the project.
Great. So, thank you very much. If we have any further questions, we'll let you know.
Okay, thanks.
Can the city staff take us through the staff report, please?
Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission, staff recommends approval as stated in the report and on the plans.
Okay. Very good. Commissioners, before I go to the open forum, does anyone have any questions or concerns about the project at all? Not seeing any. Seeing that this is a public meeting, is there anyone out in the audience that has any questions or concerns specifically about this project? If so, now would be the time to come forward. Okay. Not seeing you. With that being said, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, move to recommend approval of the planned unit development concept review on 1.716 acres, planned unit development district review with waivers on 1.716 acres, zoning district change from R1-22 to R1-13.5, on 1.176 acres and preliminary plat of 1.716 acres into 4 lots based on plans stamped dated September 13th, 2013, and the staff report dated September 20th, 2013.
Second.
A motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations. You can move forward with your project. Thank you very much. Next one up for tonight's agenda is variance number 2013-08. It's the Olympic Hills Golf Club. The location is 10625 Mount Curve Road. The request is to permit a wetland buffer strip within a minimum from 10 feet to 0 feet, to permit a wetland buffer strip minimum average width from 20 feet to 0 feet, and to permit a conservation easement from 31.92 acres to 19.08 acres. With that, will the proponent of the project please come forward? Tell us your name, spell your last name for us, please, your address, and tell us a little bit about the project.
Good evening, Jake Schmitz with Olympic Hills Golf Club. Schmitz, SCHMITZ, 10625 Mount Curve Road, Eden Prairie. Our project is a golf course renovation where we're addressing major infrastructure changes such as irrigation, drainage, regrassing of playing surfaces, as well as adding a substantial amount of native areas to our golf course. Primarily focusing on the reduction of inputs, irrigation, primarily being our use of water and fertilizers, pesticides, and things of that nature. The project is being performed by Landscapes Unlimited, world's largest golf course construction company based out of Lincoln, Nebraska, and they are responsible for both the dirt work and the irrigation that's going on the golf course.
Okay, do you have a PowerPoint presentation at all?
We do.
Okay, you want to take us through that, please?
Yep. As far as we're going to walk through a little bit of the project overview, what we're looking to accomplish, the scope, benefits both to the property and to the golf course for our membership, some neighborhood considerations that we're looking into, as well as the rationale behind the project. The golf course is a private golf club. Mr. Dan Luther, part of the Luther family, is the owners of the property. Part of his goal and his objective is to build a world-class facility within Eden Prairie and revamp the golf course accordingly. Part of that, like I had said, the project is really taking a flow towards more of an environmental aspect, simply because golf course maintenance practices and standards are changing so drastically in today's marketplace. We've since really become focused on water conservation and reducing our inputs of pesticides and fertilizers. In accordance with the project, we're also looking to become Audubon certified through the steps that we're taking to achieve that goal. We're looking to build the infrastructure that's going to last us for the next 30 years. Parts of our current infrastructure is pushing 40 years of age, primarily irrigation, drainage, and of course green tea and bunker construction. And like I had mentioned again, we're really focusing on reducing our amount of inputs, simply because the amount of money spent to maintain a golf course just is not sustainable according to the practices that were implemented in the 90s and 2000s. Things have changed substantially on that end. We will be looking at reconstructing all our teeing surfaces, all our putting surfaces, and all our bunkers. The idea behind that is a lot of the breeding in today's day and age of golf course maintenance, in terms of the grasses, they've been bred for drought tolerance and reduced inputs. So we're looking at regrassing all those surfaces. Bunkers, it's just time. They're aged, and it's time for a change there and an upgrade. As far as our irrigation system, site-specific watering is our goal. We're going to be able to control our water with individual head control, and it's also an extremely tight system, meaning that there is a leak factor with plastic PVC, and we're actually going with a complete high-density polyethylene system, which has a 0% leak factor. As far as our site drainage goes, just to be able to direct water, excess water, into stormwater retention ponds, same sort of idea that we currently have with the city's storm sewer system. Again, talked about regrassing. Minimally, we're looking at converting over 13 acres of our property into, I call it a minimum maintenance, low input grasses. It's also an aesthetic benefit to the property. I think it offers quite a contrast. Allows us no water, no fertilizers, handful of mowings throughout the year, but very, very beautiful, high quality grasses that we're going to be planting there. Also, in accordance with the renovation, there's a fair amount of tree removal. Over the years, our canopy has encroached quite significantly onto our playing surfaces, and we need to reopen up some of those corridors. And we're looking at doing a replacement plan, about 850 caliper inches according to the city ordinance. Just an example of low maintenance area, what we can kind of expect. Most of these areas are set off of the playing corridors so as not to interfere with play, but at the same time, we're looking to grow these grasses so that it'll be golfer friendly. Project benefits, we talked a little bit about some of the newer grasses that have been brought to the marketplace, primarily bent grass on our greens, tees, fairways. Just bred very, very hardy plants, good drought tolerance, and better disease resistance as well. Obviously, we talked a lot about the minimum maintenance areas already. It's all about reducing our inputs and just not spending the amount of time on areas that just don't need to be green all the time in terms of fertilizers. You read in the staff report here, we're also dedicating 19 acres of our wetlands to a conservation easement. This area lies to the north and west of our property. It's on the northwest corner of our property, and basically in accordance with the technical evaluation panel and some of the wetland steps that we walked through on that end. And part of the process there too is repairing and regrading a lot of our pond edges. We have a few pictures here where we've had over the years some of these retaining walls are collapsing and falling into the edges of the ponds. We have a fairly substantial amount of muskrat damage, and we're just looking to stabilize the banks and offer a good aesthetic there too. As far as neighborhood considerations, homeowner safety is a big issue when you're on a golf course. We have certain areas that we know our golf balls frequent a lot in the property. We're looking to do some coniferous plantings along these property edges to provide some protection. Likewise, some of the features on the golf course are going to be repositioned. Example would be hole number 4. We're actually looking to shorten up that tee box to put a shorter club in our golfers' hands to avoid spraying any balls out of bounds and hitting the homeowners. The aesthetics and the privacy, again, we're following the ordinance there in terms of providing buffers on the property edges and just trying to create a little more privacy for both the golf course and the homeowner from the property and from the activity that we maintain on the golf course. And also, there were quite a few comments during our neighborhood meeting regarding the maintenance facility and our ability to screen that facility off, try to make it blend into the residential area. A little bit difficult when you have commercial right next to residential, but we're going to do our best there to try to blend that and actually hide it a little bit more than what we do right now. We'll continue to maintain our stand of trees on the golf course according to ordinance. Further removals obviously will have to be vetted with the planning commission, and we're going to just run it pursuant to the code. And communication, we're actually holding another neighborhood meeting, this time at the clubhouse. It'll be on Wednesday of this week, just to try to communicate with the neighborhood and let them know, again, just exactly what we're doing, specifically when it affects their residents with the golf holes within the residential area. For example, 16, 17, 18. We're going to invite those homeowners specifically to talk to them about what they can expect when the green is being built, what they can expect when the irrigation is going in. Likewise, we'll be trying to obtain email addresses and be able to communicate with them via electronics. As far as our request, the original course routing were built in 1969, and the course featured an awful lot of water at that time. The golf course was kind of built through a portion of the marsh, and there's a lot of water hazards there. we'd like to be able to maintain the corridors of play and continue to maintain certain areas of the golf course where the water does meet the edge of the grass. The basins themselves, mostly man-made and are of low quality for a wetland area, but again, certain areas of these basins will also be, despite the fact that we're asking for a minimum buffer width and a variance for that, that we will still be planting a fair amount of grasses right up to the edge of the pond that we will not be maintaining per se on a daily basis. And also, just to be able to maintain the quarters of golf on the 9 holes that we currently have, or in the 18 holes that we play right now, to continue to maintain them as golf course. Architect is Ron Pritchard. He's out of his residence in both Texas and Pennsylvania. He's been doing golf course renovations for an awful long time, pretty well renowned. And locally, he's worked at the Minnetonka Club and a lot of courses around the Chicago area and also out on the East Coast. Landscapes Unlimited, out of Lincoln, Nebraska, world-renowned golf course builder, and the little bit of time I've had to work with him, very conscientious, safety-focused, and very understanding of what it's like to do an infill project, basically building a golf course within a residential area, renovating a golf course, I should say. So with that, any questions you might have?
We will go to the staff report, and if we have any follow-up questions, we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Staff report, please, Mr. Fancy.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, this variance meets the standard test for reasonable use, unique circumstances, and neighborhood character, and the staff recommends that the Commission adopt Final Order 2013-08.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions before we go to the audience at all?
The only question I had, I thought I noticed in here a comment about 4 to 5 phases, and I was just curious. I didn't see a time frame on project completion, and it may have been here, and I may have missed it. Was just curious about how long the project would, or when the project would be completed as you look at it now.
Our seed date is kind of the date that we work backwards off to have everything planted is August 25th of 2014.
Okay.
And the golf course will remain closed until right around the 4th of July of 2015. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else for the time being? Okay. Is there anyone out in the audience that has any comments or concerns or some questions about this project? If so, now would be the time to come forward. Okay. I'm not seeing any. Commissioners, any final thoughts at all?
Yeah, let me ask, I guess I'm, just maybe a question for staff. You know, when I first read this, the first thing that caught me is moving a conservation easement from basically 32 acres to 19 acres. And, you know, the one thing we value in this community is you know, our open lands and park spaces and things like that. Now, listening to the presentation, you know, it sounds like some very positive steps relative to, I think, the values that the community has. Mike, might you just talk a little bit about the balance between having a conservation easement which guarantees protection versus, you know, what we're talking about here, a plan that seems to be, again, consistent with the values of the community, but in a sense, are we giving up some protection, some conservation protection?
Let's talk about the big protection we have for the open space. The city has a recorded permanent open space agreement with the golf course to maintain this as a golf course indefinitely. That's a big deal. The city went through a guide plan change process and a zoning process. Some of you remember that for all the golf courses.
Yep.
To create the golf course zoning districts so we could keep them golf courses forever. When we look at the conservation easement, the letter of the law says they have to have the bigger number, but there's only a certain portion of the golf course you actually can maintain a conservation easement in its natural condition. to have conservation easements around some of the wetlands where they're in play by the golf course. Kind of goes contrary to the golf course and how you have to maintain the golf course. So given the fact that this was all done back in 1969, we put the rules in effect in 1997. Looking at you still need to maintain this as a golf course. A lot of these water bodies were created by the golf course. We put the conservation easement in the area where it was next to the natural wetlands and the floodplain areas. So we put the best part of the property that we could be reasonably certain that that area would remain untouched in perpetuity. And that's why we stuck with the 19 acres.
So let me paraphrase what I heard you say, that the 12 acres that are, in a sense, being quote-unquote lost
Right.
really aren't a vital conservation easement that we could maintain in a natural state in any way, shape, or form, realistically.
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay, good. Because actually the presentation sounded very good. I mean, it sounded, again, consistent with the values that I think we want to reinforce. And your point about the open space is also a good one to remind us of. So, thank you.
Excellent question. Thank you. Anybody else have any comments or concerns? No? Okay. That being said, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, move to recommend approval of the final order 2013-08.
A motion and a second.
Second.
Okay. Everyone in agreement? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Congratulations. You can move forward with your project. Thank you very much. Moving right along, do we have any planners reports for this evening, Mr. Franzen?
None this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Members' reports. I know Katie Gunsch usually talks about the light rail. Are there any other comments about that? Jake, you have nothing to add?
Nothing to add at this time.
Okay, very good. Any continuing business, anybody?
I think so.
Okay. Any new business? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.